Hey everybody, this is Joe Bullis, and I am doing a recording as we discussed in class last night. I wanted to go over APTEL Task 2. You should have seen the email already where I sent out the pacing guide that you requested. Once again, that is not a source of deadlines for you. That's where I would be in the semester if I would, where I would be getting concerned if I hadn't got that particular task from you by that day. So it's about 3 week increments. So you want to look that over, and you got any feedback or you want to respond to it anyway, just please give me an email, and I'll be happy to address any feedback or concerns that you have. But once again, that's just a suggested pacing guide. I also, as you read in that email, corresponded with your course instructors, Dr. Sanders and Dr. Neal, and they were both very accommodating and understanding regarding your concerns. So everything should be in pretty good shape for you. We're going to go ahead and move forward with this recording, and let me talk to you a little bit about task two. Remember, in task one, you do an annotated bibliography on the different areas regarding teacher empowerment, self-efficacy, professional development, mentoring, evaluation, all those things that's going on in the school that would make that school a productive school according to research. Well, you research all of those best practices. We gave a few examples, Marizano, Whitaker, so on and so forth, in each of those areas. What does the research say about that? If this is a school, is a productive school, is a progressive school, is an efficient school, then these things should be occurring. And as we discussed, not necessarily in the classroom, but in the school overall. Is there a embedded professional development plan? Do teachers have the opportunity to share in the decision making of the school? Do teachers practice that? So there are some classroom things that should be occurring too. And teachers are they do they feel motivated to participate in a collaborative manner with each other? Are they participating in PLCs with each other? So it is not just a classroom; it's over the broad spectrum of the school. These are the best practices out there. And from that, you should be able to find, create, combine a checklist to go out and do observation in your school and determine if those best practices are present or to what degree they may be present at your school. And then you write that up, tell the story. That's the narrative. You write that up. Do bear in mind that these are essential categories that you need to address. They may have different names. You can choose to expand or combine these, but as long as you address these, that's what the evaluator is going to be looking for. Before we get into task two, let's pop down here to the rubric. And this is the rubric that I use when giving you feedback. This is the rubric that your evaluator will use in evaluating in task stream. So just once again, once you kind of get task one, read it, know it before you start writing. After you finish and you're ready for it to be reviewed by your peers, read over the rubric again to make sure that you've addressed the aspects that's mentioned in the rubric. And don't forget to go ahead and go back up to the prompt too to make sure that you addressed what's in the prompt. Because like I told you last semester, three things you really need to look at is the description of the task, the prompt, and the rubric. Because sometimes the prompt will mention things that an evaluator will look for that may not necessarily be mentioned in the rubric, but nonetheless is important to the evaluation. And there may be things mentioned in the rubric that is very important for evaluation that may not be addressed in the prompt. So just know that, just know both of those. That's something I shared with you last semester, but just kind of a reminder on that. All right, so you do your research, you cite your references, you do all of those things that is needed for task one, and you do your checklist. So what do you do in ABSEL task two? And in ABSEL Task 2, you are going to conduct a gap analysis and a needs assessment. This kind of goes back to what you did in the ABSEL. You're pulling that data in from that checklist, utilizing that checklist, utilizing the knowledge that you gained from your research. on the best practices in regards to teacher empowerment, then what does the data tell you? What does the checklist tell you? Where are the gaps? So prompt one, you describe your data collection strategies. Once again, it's utilizing the checklist, but you can look at other aspects of the school as well. But you talk about that. And how did you perform that data gathering? How was the checklist utilized? And did you? I've seen some candidates have their PLC team take different aspects and do the checklist. I've also seen them do the checklist, and then they've had the PLC team to kind of look at the checklist and then on their own observations, what they've experienced in the school themselves, add to the data based on personal observations from the team or yourself. Does not have to be a team, it's just a suggestion. Could also be observations that you have had in your years of being at the school as well. So you use that information in the checklist. You talk about how you use that research tool, and then you identify the gaps between practice and research best practice. That comparison needs to happen. What did you find out in your research that said should be occurring at this school, and at what degree is it occurring at the school that you're at or the school that you utilize the research tool in? So where are the gaps there? And address the gaps within the 5 areas. We go back to the efficacy, the professional development, the mentoring, evaluation, teacher leadership, and decision making. So you need to address each of those areas. Where does your school lie in relationship to those best practices? And it doesn't have to be a gap. If your school's hitting right on the mark in their professional development plan, if it's a results oriented, long term, embedded, sustaining professional development plan, and you think this is great, I don't see where it can be any better. It is certainly matched up with the research and what the research recommends. Then there doesn't have to be a gap there. That's what I'm saying. So don't create a gap where there's not a gap. Just tell the story. If the professional development plan is right on the mark and you're firing on all cylinders, then just say that. You don't have to create a gap or a need where there's not any present. So make sure that you do your citation, do the APA format, reference your sources, so on and so forth. And then you graphically represent the data that you pulled in the narrative. It can be a chart, be a table, it can be a graph. You do that checklist. How did you tally it up? What percentage in each area was present? It could be a pie chart. It could be a bar graph. It could be a table of just, these are the checkoffs. These are the ones. This is where I saw it was present. This is where I didn't see it was present. Just you need to create a visual of that data as you discuss it within the narrative, and you talk about the needs assessment and the gap analysis. And that's basically it for task 2. You talk about how you utilize the research tool and any other data that you pulled in qualitatively or quantitatively, and then you create a visual representation of that in some type of form of a chart, table, or graph. And that is it as far as task 2 goes. I'm going to pause the recording for just a second. Okay, I'm back. Thank you for doing that. I just want to go ahead and pull up another screen, make sure that I had on there what I was going to refer to. But anyway, of course, right now we are on Blackboard. Just want to remind you that you can get helpful hints in the template for the AAPTEL here in templates and resources. We talked about this last night as well. Just also as a reminder that you will need to go ahead and put in your school profile, just like you did in the AAPTEL. Each evidence will need a title page, will need a reference page, will need a school profile as well. So just make sure that you do that. Background information about the school and community. You always need to put that school profile in at the very beginning of each evidence. And then you'll also need to do your references and so on and so forth. So make sure that you have your title page as well. So that's it for ABSEL Task 2. After you review this recording, if you have any questions or concerns or need some clarification, just feel free to reach out to me via email. I'll be happy to help you any way I can. I hope and pray you and your family stay safe and healthy, and we will see you next time. Thank you.